you'll have to excuse the quality this time again. We're back in the car again. Sometime what we're going to do is we're going to get this light here that's above us replaced so that it matches the rest of the light that we're using, because we're using a UV light and then the light in the car.
We are trying to be in process of finding like an actual studio. It's going to be some time when we can do that. Until then, you're going to see that sometimes we're at his house, sometimes we're in my house, sometimes we're in the car, just wherever it's dependable until then. So.
But anyway, what we're reviewing now is Going in Style, which is a remake of the 1979 film that had George Burns and Art Carney, and among others. And I'm not really too familiar with. I'm
not either.
I'm not really too familiar with that film. I've never even heard of it until this one came out. But pretty much this film basically stars. This new one stars Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman, and Alan Arkin, and stars these three guys.
Matt Damon too.
And Matt Dillon as well.
Matt Dillon, yeah. Damon.
Matt Dillon, and it stars three guys. It has these three grown men who are pretty much going through, basically retired in a way. They're getting their pensions from the bank, and then one of the main characters, Joe, played by Michael Caine, he is going through a situation where he's trying to get his house taken care of, and one day he goes to a bank and just finds out that there's a bank. After he has a talk with the bank manager, there's going to be a foreclosure. He realizes there's going to be bad news, and then while that's going on, at the same time, there's a bank robbery that happens. That starts there. And then after that happens, he gets the idea that based on these guys who can pretty much escape, he wants to go ahead and go with that plan as well.
Because the company they work for, their pensions, his and everybody that works for this company, all their pensions ended up getting stolen from this company. They decided to move to Vietnam, and they used everybody's pensions to make that move. So basically, they're left with nothing after 40, 50 years with the company.
Yeah, it's basically...
They lose all their retirement, all their 401k, everything is gone.
Yeah. And so his friends, played by Morgan Freeman and Alan Arkin, he's telling them about the situation, and at first they think he's just losing his mind, things like that, because he knows that guys their age, they're not going to be able to pull off a bank robbery.
Yeah.
But they basically, as it goes along, after they notice that they're really wanting, after we start,
each character, not to forget that after each character has starting to have their own issues, when they decide, you got stories. You get the story of, we already said Michael Caine's. You get some from Alan Arkin. We get some from him, his side of like some bad shit's happening over there, and then you got Morgan Freeman's, and a lot of shit's going on with his life. So it's like, okay, they are left in no choice but to do this.
And they also felt like they're wanting to get back and provide not only for themselves but also for the ones they care about.
Yep.
So they decide to get to a plan where they eventually try to find. Basically, as the trailers put it, they find another guy who's part of their crew who helps them with doing this bank robbery.
Yeah, he teaches them because he's got history.
Yeah. And I gotta tell you, I was actually, from the trailers alone, I thought that from what it was gonna be like, it was gonna be like basically kind of like Grumpy Old Men mixed with like Point Break.
Yeah. When I seen the trailer, I love these setups with old people, and that I'm gonna bring this up. We used to see trends in the 90s and early 2000s where it was a bunch where like old people cast in a comedy, like Grumpy Old Men, Odd Couple, The Crew, Out to Sea, many
Space
of those
Cowboys.
Space Cowboy. You get those type films. Then they abruptly just went away for like 12, 13 years. We didn't see many of them.
Yeah.
Now this is like kind of like a nostalgia bringing back the 90s, early 2000s where they used to do this shit. And when I seen the trailer of this, I was actually really happy because I really get into these. They hardly are ever bad. They're fun.
I know, they're always fun.
Yeah. If you get the right cast, but most of them do get the right cast, so it ends up being fun.
It always does. And I was actually surprised because this film was directed by Zach Braff, who you may remember, he was the guy who played off of Scrubs. He was the main guy on that show, and also he had his big break with a film that came out some years back called Garden State. Yeah. So you can tell that he started out as kind of an indie director, but it seems like this film...
like you said, he was the main guy from Scrubs, and he was famous for that show. He did play in some films as an actor, but it just seemed like he didn't go anywhere with his acting. So he's been doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work, and now he's worked his way up to director. Now.
Yeah, and it seems like, well, at least from the films that I've heard that he's directed, this seems like the first one that's kind of building it more like a actual Hollywood film. Because his other films that, from what I heard, are more like indie-type movies.
They're very indie, and they get a lot of new people you really never seen, or low-budgety people.
Yeah.
This is, like, I think his big break, kind of like what Jordan Peele did with Get Out. This was... this going to style is Zach's. It's kind of like his daybreak, his big break of doing Hollywood films as a director.
And I gotta tell you, like, after seeing this film, I was much surprised with it. It captured everything that you can really see with how they handle this premise. Because when you think about it, you know, and we'll get to part of it later, but when you think about it, just the concept alone just sounds like very just funny on paper as it is.
It is, and it was really, really extremely funny. I had a fun time with this film. This movie is extremely fun, and I think the chemistry between Alan Arkin, Morgan Freeman, and Michael Caine, they blended very well in this film.
They all did. They all had their own unique personality to them, and they all just captured that what it's like, you know, being old and everything. And they do a lot of those jokes throughout where, you know, they got, you know, bad legs and things like that.
And they're grumpy at each other too. Not as much as I thought they were going to be. I thought it was going to be more grumpier, but I still thought it worked really well.
It has its charm, because
though they do have the girl from Grumpy Old Man still looks the same as she did off the set from the first Grumpy Old Man, and again she's playing the same girl, likes to try to get, you know, kind of wants sex from old people, so she's kind of playing the same person in this.
And it was unique because even this day, man, she does not seem to age. It seems like she's found the fountain of youth.
Yeah,
you know?
She is a good looking woman for an old lady. Yeah, for her age, she is really good looking.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just that, but I really enjoy like the small moments too, like we get, because throughout the film we see the interactions of like Morgan Freeman. He's dealing with his granddaughter, who's, you know,
he doesn't see much.
He doesn't see much, and you also get to see Morgan Freeman dealing with his. Well, you're getting to see Morgan Freeman also dealing with his granddaughter, who he doesn't see much either. So you do get to see little small moments that have a lot of heart to it as well. That I really enjoy.
You do get some kind of like mixed with like small motions. You do get like really sad scenes, like where, like you said, Morgan Freeman doesn't get to see his granddaughter very much, or his daughter, because they live in another part of the United States.
Yeah,
and financially he can't. But then there's also something, I don't want to tell you too much spoiling, but there's also something going on with his health, and you know, you get a lot of those type scenes.
Yeah, so. And not just that, but it's really funny how the way that these guys get into these different like shenanigans, it just had me go along with it. Like,
all right, so they there's one thing I don't want to go into detail. They want to test to see if they can handle robbery, so they try to rob a fucking grocery store, supermarket, stealing shit and see if they can get away with this shit. That was funny. We also get Kenan Thompson comes in this.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see him.
He's in this, and you get Christopher Lloyd, who is funny. He's got Alzheimer's in this, and he's all dementia and shit, and God, he is so fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he was. He was a blast. So I mean, there's more I can go into detail, but that's really
it is simple.
It is very simple plot. I mean, it has some things that you know that are coming, because so it's not really much to really say as far as a storyline, but it's still. I will say this though, that when they actually do have things that are planned out, I actually did think, you know, I thought it was actually clever.
It is clever, and a lot of it kind of could play realism, except for I did catch something with the bus that I know that obviously they would have been caught.
Yeah.
In real life, but I'm not gonna look. That's just digging too deep, because the movie was so entertaining. I was not looking for flaws in this type film, because I was just having a fun time.
Yeah, they cracked it up like really.
Yeah. No, I do gotta say, if I have a serious con in this film, I thought Matt Dillon's role was kind of pointless.
Yeah, I did
was
feel
really
like
not.
I don't want to go into detail, but yeah, I get now to my cons where my con is where Matt Dillon's character is kind of built to be investigating what's happening with this.
But you
with the
see
different,
only him a little bit.
You only see him a little bit, and also he doesn't really seem like he has a resolution at the end.
He doesn't, and his ending, the ending, they have him come, in a scene which really has no reason to have him in that scene.
Yeah, I mean, we won't go into detail, but basically you see and you're like, okay, so what happened? Like, why was he there?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that did throw me off. But overall, though, I will say that this was great seeing this type of concept used again.
Yes,
especially because I love both Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men. So
I love them too. I like The Odd Couple 1 and 2. I enjoyed Out to Sea. And basically there's some other ones I'm sure I'm leaving out. I get into these concepts where, these old people play, like an old people cast, and they go on this big adventure, and it's usually a raunchy comedy, and I think those are fun concepts. They were big in the 90s, like I said earlier, early 2000s, but then they fell off out of nowhere, and you didn't get that concept ever.
But so it was a fresh return seeing that again. And so with that, I really do enjoy this one, and for the little cons that they had, I still say that it was a great watch, and I will recommend it. I'm going to give it a 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to go with him. I'm going to give Going in Style, 8.5 out of 10.
All right, fair enough. Well, we guys, thank you so much for watching our review of Going in Style. For those of you who have seen the movie, what did you think of it? Comment below, and if you like what you see here, you can check out more of our reviews, and we'll be seeing you in our next one. We'll see you later.
See ya.